ready for the next generation of talk radio. It's time for politics, pop culture, and proud pro-American conservatism. Strap yourselves in. Grab your coffee. It's time for the Chris Salcedo Show on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
So, I watched the Stormy Daniels 60 Minutes interview. And I came away with, with the secure knowledge that, man, that is 26 minutes I will never get back. Now, welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show, everybody, and I'm glad you've tuned in. Let me tell you what you missed. You missed a recounting of an affair, an alleged affair, between the President of the United States, who was then a Democrat, who was then not even a politician, who was a playboy, multi-million, billionaire financier, and a woman who is in the adult film industry. That's what you missed. All the salacious details of that. To which I'm wondering if it was Donald Trump, the Democrat, circa 2006, does anybody care about this? And the answer is no. But if it's Donald Trump, the Republican, and who is actually the President of the United States, all of a sudden we got to air this. Why? Now, look, I've got to say that CBS and Anderson Cooper, probably in conjunction with CNN, came up with the idea that this could be run afoul of campaign finance laws. This whole deal between the non-disclosure agreement, Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump's lawyers. By a cursory examination, I'm no lawyer, but I'm just thinking to myself, man, this is a stretch. This is a stretch. All the other stuff was just hearsay, he said, she said, and just salacious television, which is why I'm sure the ratings will get a nice bump, because this kind of thing sells. I just sat back after watching it going, there's nothing revelatory about this at all. There's nothing at all about this that screams to me that this is something we got to be discussing that's actually important or makes a tinker's darn bit of difference in my life. And the very same people who were telling us that the President of the United States lying under oath and the President of the United States raping someone was no big deal, was just sex. The very same people who were saying that about Bill Clinton are now saying this non-crime, and Stormy Daniels did say on several occasions, I'm not a victim here. She said, I'm not a victim. I made the choice to do this. So no alleged crime has been committed. Well, with the exception of the campaign finance laws. And again, by my read, ladies and gentlemen, that's grasping at straws. But that's what the basket of bias press does in the era of Donald Trump. But this same, and several people had pointed out on Twitter, I don't recall a 60-minute sit-down with Juanita Broaddrick. I don't recall a 60-minute sit-down with the women who alleged that William Jefferson Clinton had perpetrated crimes upon their person. And as a matter of fact, Democrats defended the crimes. The so-called party of the women. As a matter of fact, the champion of women herself, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton went after these women for their daring to expose Bill Clinton after Bill Clinton exposed himself to them. Now, this isn't unusual behavior for Hillary. She continues to attack women to this day. Here was Hillary Clinton on her overseas bash Trump, bash America jaunt. And, as long as you're a Republican woman, and this isn't even a Republican woman she's attacking. She just has an unpopular name in the Democrat Party at the moment.
A Apparently, Ivanka Trump wants to be the first female president of the United States.
That's not going to happen.
No?
No. Mm-mm.
How come?
Well, we don't want any more inexperienced Trumps in the White House.
Says the woman who told everybody, told America that we would never elect Donald Trump and that she was a shoo-in. The war on women continues, being prosecuted by one of its lead generals, Hillary Clinton. You know, if Anderson Cooper were, I don't know, doing a fair expose of the current modern day politics, how do you leave Hillary Clinton out and her commentary about women? Of course, this was all centered not on a fair report, but actually a report to hammer Donald Trump. Of course, nobody from Donald Trump's camp agreed to appear. But if this is at face value, let's just say everything is accurate. In 2006, Donald Trump was having an extramarital affair with an adult film actress. Back then, he was a Democrat. Back then, he was a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire who had a reputation of doing that very same thing. And nobody back then batted an eyelash. In particular, among the people who are now going, now that he's the president of the United States, so this, what happened back in 2006 matters? Bill Clinton did his deeds while he was president of the United States, perjured himself, lied to cover up the Monica Lewinsky affair. And that's one thing. What Donald Trump is alleged to have done happened back in 2006. 12 years ago. 12 years ago. And 60 Minutes on the case. The sleuths over at 60 Minutes and CNN. On the case. 12-year-old case. Which at the time, they didn't find newsworthy. Now that he's the president of the United States and a member of the party that CBS and CNN are aggressively attacking. They don't do this to Democrats, as we pointed out. Cheryl Atkinson was fired from CBS because she believed that journalists should do this kind of thing. Should go after politicians regardless of their political party. Yeah, CBS didn't see things that way. CBS said, we go aggressively after Republicans, but Democrats, kid gloves. Kid gloves. I hope you folks in the Vida Television Network, I tried to clean this up as best I could, but it is what it is. I think it's fair to say that our president is a guy who has a rather colorful past and maybe not one that you'd be excited to tell your kids about. I certainly am not. And I think that the man who sits in the White House would probably be the first one to say, hey, I've done some things I'm not proud of. His advocacy for abortion, for example. His advocacy for, he was a staunch pro-abortion advocate for most of his life until he had a conversion. And I, being a conservative and a man of God, here we are in the holy season of Lent, getting ready to celebrate Easter. I kind of believe in redemption. And no matter what time of your life you come to it, I believe in redemption. Now, does anybody believe that Bill Clinton actually had a redemptive moment? That he said, man, let me think here. I think I've been a terrible human being. I'm gonna turn over a new leaf. I'll tell you what. You know what I did? I cheated on Hillary several times, and I maybe forced myself on women. I don't think that was right. I you know what? I need to change my ways. I need to repent. I need to do something better with my life. As a matter of fact, he's cheating on Hillary Clinton right now. The Energizer Bunny is what she's called. Pays a visit to the home of Hillary and Bill Clinton when Hillary's traveling. And it's the worst kept secret among the Secret Service. So there was no redemption There was no seeking of a better way. There was no, man, I've been wrong moment for Bill Clinton. But he, not the subject of an expose by 60 Minutes and CNN teaming up to do this. Granted, he's not president of the United States anymore, but he is a key figure in the other party. And if one were to do a balanced report, one might want to, seeing as how now that the basket of biased press has allegedly had a mea culpa, include past presidents who did arguably far worse criminal acts upon women. But no, that wasn't done, because the objective wasn't to present a fair look at what Donald Trump had done. That the entire objective was to sell some airtime, salacious material, and to undermine Donald Trump's, shall we say, credibility with his own base, the evangelicals and such. Let me ask you a question. After what I just told you, and some of you may have watched the 60 Minutes story, and many of you jumped on Twitter last night and thanked me for watching it for you, so you didn't have to. Did anything that happened in the Stormy Daniels interview change your mind about Donald Trump? For me, and you guys know where my position is with Donald Trump. With the president of the United States, wherever his populism meets my conservatism, I will support him. This Stormy Daniels stuff doesn't even move the needle for me. Doesn't even move the. You know what did? The omnibus bill. That was substantive. That was real. That caused harm to this country. And we vehemently disagree with the way that Donald Trump went through that. And we're going to go through that today, along with the kids. The kids marching on Washington, D.C., and the dishonest coverage of the press. Did you guys know there's an alternate point of view to gun control? No, of course you wouldn't know that, because there's been a blackout. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. As a matter of fact, the only places you can find a dissenting point of view are in some periodicals and on conservative talk radio, where we present both sides. But the basket of biased press wants you to believe the entire country is for taking guns away, is for making the law-abiding pay for the acts of criminals. So we're going to get all this. It's coming up with the Chris Salcedo Show and your input. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Does Stormy Daniels erode your confidence in Donald Trump at all? Like I said, didn't move the needle for me. The omnibus bill, that did. Back in a minute, the Chris Salcedo Show. The voice of Texas. One 558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Welcome back to the Chris Salcedo Show, folks. This is your Radio Republic. Unlike your current federal government, your views are heard, listened to, and addressed here on this program. Let's get out of the phones. Did Stormy Daniels move the needle for you on Donald Trump? Fred, welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. What say you?
Chris, good morning.
Hi.
I hate to tell you that I totally forgot about it last night, and I was watching a couple of other programs, and I must tell you this, that, you know, in the media industry, we measure things by market impressions. I will tell you that I've heard you mention Stormy Daniels more times than I heard it mentioned on any of the stations or places that I watch or listen to.
Well, that's...
I'm sorry.
No, that's...
It's a non-issue, man.
Oh, I agree with you, but it's something that we're going to address, and we want to expose. And there's a method behind my madness here. I got to tell you.
Oh, I understand, but I'm just telling you, they're pushing it. I mean, to say it's a dead horse,
I don't even think it was alive to begin with. I don't even think it,
Well,
I think it meant that the horse's equivalent of Planned Parenthood. It was never alive.
Well, one of my friends put it very bluntly. He
Yes.
says, reminds me of a big Holstein in pain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I said, yeah.
Yeah.
She does not look attractive. There is nothing that is appealing about the woman.
Well,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to criticize her.
well,
But
it doesn't.
this just didn't do anything.
Well, her looks aside, and again, I don't think that's even germane to the argument. I don't see how it's relevant to anything that we're talking about today. It's relevant to what's going on in the country, to all the struggles and all the problems that we're having in the country. There's nothing of substance to it. So Fred, look, and I got to be honest with you, I watched the repeat online. I didn't watch it live. I didn't want to give CBS the ratings point.
Oh, Chris, Nick, come on, man.
I got to be
that's
honest.
cheating.
Well, no, it's not cheating. I just didn't, like I said, I believe in strategic media watching, and they might get a click from me, but I know that a lot of the internet distribution hasn't been fully monetized as off air yet has. So I decided to not. I mean, I had to see if there was anything that she said that was worthwhile, but they're really.
From what I've heard, Chris, there's no fireworks. There's no boom. There's no bang.
Well,
there's nobody going to bother looking it up online, and nobody's going to bother rewatching it on Channel 11's online thing. It's just. I mean, I hate to tell you, it just died.
No, I know. You know what? And I think people who watched it last night, unless you're a rabid Donald Trump hater, you walk away going, "That was it. That was it." Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the call. 281-558-5738. Eric. So, I don't know if you watched, but did this whole revelation about Stormy Daniels, did it affect your opinion on Donald Trump one way or the other?
Well, it disappointed me, to be honest with you, and thanks for having me on.
Sure.
And I'll take issue with your previous caller.
Yeah.
She is a comely woman. Pardon the pun. But anyway.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she is a knockout, but at the same time, it's disappointing because he just married Melania, and if allegedly it happened, which I'm thinking it did, but at the same time, it was before he became a political office holder,
right?
Or he ran for political
before
office.
he even ran for political office, and he was a Democrat at the time. So, Eric, I'll ask you: Did you have any illusion about what type of man, as far as his personal life, that we were electing in 2016?
Not at all.
Neither did I. The fact that he, as a Democrat, behaved in this way is no surprise to me at all.
No, well, you've known everybody. Trump's been in the media for 30 years.
Yeah.
And he's had a reputation for being a ladies' man for that far back anyway.
And she said, she didn't even find him attractive.
Wow. Well, this happened when he was, in his late 50s, right? Or
late
around
60s. Yeah, he's got to be around. It was during Celebrity Apprentice.
So it was in 2006,
2006,
right?
Yeah.
And so he was like right at 60 years old, and he wasn't Mr., Robert Redford looking guy anymore. He's getting heavy and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but at the same time, he's a billionaire.
As far as substance goes, Eric, as far as advancing the country, as far as being detrimental to the country, is there anything that we learned last night from Stormy Daniels that
were they extra capacity magazines? I would like to know that. Yeah.
Okay. Eric, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. And I think this is the way to handle this, ladies and gentlemen. You laugh at Anderson Cooper. You laugh at CBS. And you laugh at CNN. It was cringeworthy and laugh-worthy television. Not at all. I mean, you walked away going, good grief. This is all they've got? Kevin, thank you for dialing in. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. What say you?
Hey, Chris, when it comes to females like Stormy Daniels, you always got to remember the words of the great late Judge Roy Bean, who famously quoted saying, "You can turn a lady into a whore, but you cannot turn a whore into a lady."
There was, Anderson Cooper had a line last night that says the left wing looks at you as a whore, the right wing looks at you as, I can't remember exactly what he said, but about what the right thinks of her is just a saboteur. And then she never really answered to my satisfaction, why are you doing this? Why now? It's because you can make money. That's the reason why she's doing it. And she all but admitted it on the air last night. Hey, I could get a better gig. Who among us wouldn't use this opportunity to get paid much, much more for doing something you're already doing already?
Well, here's the bottom line. Stormy Daniels is a hoe. That's all there is, and there ain't no mo.
Hey, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate the contribution. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Look, if you're on hold right now, I got to get to a break. We will transition out of Stormy the next hour, and we'll start talking about things of more substance. But I'll still take your calls. Did Stormy Daniels, the interview, if you watched it, move the needle for you? Or did you think there was something more substantive we could be talking about in the public discussion right now? That's all coming up on the Chris Salcedo Show. We'll get to the kids marching in Washington, D.C., wanting to take away your guns. And we'll get to the fallout from this omnibus spending bill. A lot of you people took issue with me saying that this was Donald Trump signing his impeachment. I'll be back in a minute. The Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas. All right, welcome to it, everybody. Hour 2 of the Chris Salcedo Show. We'll take your phone calls on Stormy Daniels if you guys think that this is at all important. We'll leave that open for the entire show if you think Stormy Daniels moves the needle at all for you, or you think it's an important discussion to have. I think it shows the hypocrisy of the basket of biased press. Who was okay with a guy who was doing illegal activity while in office, who was okay with a guy raping women in his past, and they defended him. And I don't recall a 60-minute CNN expose on William Jefferson Clinton. Do you? I can't remember. They may have done one, but I don't remember it. I don't remember. As a matter of fact, I remember the basket of biased press shunning and ignoring all of Bill Clinton's accusers, not giving them 26 minutes in primetime. But that shows the bias of the press. You know what else shows the bias of the press? The way they've been covering the kids marching in Washington, D.C. Let me give you a synopsis of the Sunday shows. The Sunday shows across the board were cheerleaders for this gun-grabbing movement. And I've got sound bites to illustrate this point. But the Sunday shows this weekend were an insult to 99.9% of gun owners who don't harm anyone. And those people don't have a voice, by and large, in the basket of biased press. Now, I would support any solution, air quotes, solution, that the kids come up with, so long as that solution in no way impedes or impacts me as a law-abiding gun owner from attaining my Second Amendment privileges. That's it. It's my right. It's my right. Whatever solution they come up with, it cannot impact in the slightest law-abiding gun owners, of which the country is populated with an overwhelming majority. Not in the slightest. Anything you do must be geared toward punishing those who violate our laws. Let me bring to you a perspective that you weren't hearing from the Sunday shows yesterday. From, of all places, the Washington Post starts us off. The title, "School Shootings Are Extraordinarily Rare. Why is Fear of Them Driving Our Policy?" First recorded school shooting in the United States took place in 1840 when a law student shot and killed his professor, University of Virginia. But the modern fear dawned on April 20th, 1999, when Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris killed 12 classmates and a teacher, and then themselves at Colorado's Columbine High School. Since then, the murder of children in their classroom has come to seem common, a regular feature of modern American life, and our fear is so strong that we are certain the next horror is sure to come not long after the last. The Education Department reports that roughly 50 million children attend public schools for roughly 180 days per year. Since Columbine, approximately 200 public school students have been shot to death. Since Columbine, ladies and gentlemen, that's 1999. That's nearly 20 years. In 20 years, that amount of kids, 200, that's 10 per year, have been killed in school shootings. Still way too much, I understand. And we can take care of that by hardening these targets and making sure that nobody gets access to our kids with a gun. And there are ways to do that. The Maryland shooter taught us this. The Maryland shooter also taught us, because he was 17 and he got his hand on a 9mm Glock. And in Maryland, there was a law that said you can't have a weapon until you're 21. Oddly enough, that didn't stop this young man from going out and killing people. It was a false sense of security. The liberals said, oh, if you just pass this law. And some of these kids are out on the Sunday shows this weekend saying, oh, if you'll just pass the 21 restriction, everything will be safe. It's okay for them. They don't know their rear ends from a hole in the ground. It's the left-wing adults who are backing them up that really tick me off on this. Since Columbine, approximately 200 public school students have been shot to death while in school, including the recent slaughter at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. That means the statistical likelihood of any given public school student being killed by a gun in a school on any given day since 1999 is roughly 1 in 614 million. I'll say that again. The whole March for Life was over 1 in 614 million chance. Contrast that with 60 million children killed by abortions since Roe versus Wade. Tens of thousands of children killed every single year. And by the way, Planned Parenthood is a major donor to the Democrat Party. Right? Kids out there blaming the NRA. Oh, you take NRA money, we're against you. Fine. You take Planned Parenthood money, we're against you. Because Planned Parenthood kills more children by far more greater children than do guns in this country. Who is the bigger menace to children's survival? Planned Parenthood or guns? Another story you didn't hear from the basket of bias press, courtesy of USA Today. Again, the Sunday shows were in one voice. They're unanimous, pulling for the gun control movement. All of the Sunday shows. The young, fierce, and at least for the moment, the most prominent voices in America's debate over guns are the young people. But not all members of the Generation Columbine cling to the rhetoric, making household names out of some of their peers, those students calling for tighter gun control after the deadly February 14th shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Many American high schoolers do not blame school shootings for guns and don't argue that the answer is tighter restrictions on firearms. It's a view at odds with many of their classmates, yet born from the same safety concerns. This counter narrative not only wasn't covered by the basket of bias press, folks, it was suppressed. These kids couldn't find CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, couldn't find a microphone to voice their concerns. As a matter of fact, anybody with a counterpoint of view to the demonstration going on in Washington, D.C. was persona non grata on these Sunday shows this weekend. It was all one side, one perspective, gun control, gun control, gun control, which, as we've articulated, won't keep anybody safe, won't keep anyone alive. And that's the specter that our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face. Consider this, that at this march over the weekend, how did 16, 17, 18-year-olds put together this massive march across continents? How did these kids organize a march on Washington, D.C. with who paid for the buses, who paid for Miley Cyrus and these other singers to come out there? Who paid for it all? If you watched the signs, if you watched all of the people who were in attendance with their disparate agendas, they all tried to glom on to this gun control agenda because it is a component of the left wing's positioning. So every other left wing group, whatever their pretend issues are, they were out there this weekend. The idea was to degrade the Republican Party, to get rid of the Republican Party, to degrade Trump and to get rid of Donald Trump. That it was a big voter registration drive and rally for the left wing. The reason why I know this is because there was no other solution that was welcome. My solution for keeping kids safe, hardening these targets, allowing teachers who want to armed security. None of that was represented. Only the gun grabbers, only restricting your Second Amendment right of self-defense. That was the only solution that was on display. And I can tell all of you folks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, there is another way. And the Maryland school shooting demonstrated that. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. We'll start detailing some of the unfair coverage on the other side of the break, and we'll get your phone calls in as well. You found the Chris Salcedo Show. Glad you've tuned in, everybody, here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Comments. I think you're spot on bringing this subject up, even though it's I could care less, what he did back in 2006.
You're talking about Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, Stormy. Yeah, that's the first point. I mean, what he did in 2006 is his business, and the repercussions between he and his wife. That's the only thing I see.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
There's no ground for anything else. And if you look at all the documents this lady signed, just some of the 3 times she signed these disclosures that nothing happened between them 3 times. Now, I can understand it once, and then she had second thoughts about it, but she signed it 3 times. And it's just all a hoax. And again, if it's not a hoax, no big deal. As far as the covering the march, I think that anybody listens to Miley Cyrus, first of all, is stupid. And the second thing is, when you allow these young people, and trust me, their heart's in the right place. And I believe a lot of them really are upset, and they have a right to be. They've seen 17 of their friends killed. But they get out there, and you got that Mr. Hogg gets up there, cusses people out using foul language in his little speech, and they're up there and saying, if you take money from the NRA, that's blood money, and we're going to run you out of office. I mean, these people are, where they're getting their talking points from.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about that.
You know what? Hey, Charles. Charlie, hold on a minute. I want to play something for you. You got a minute?
Sure.
These same kids who the basket of biased press and the left wing is saying we ought to be listening to make policy for the entire United States to shelve the Second Amendment. Here are the kids who are at this march, and they're asked about, do us a favor, tell us about an assault rifle, will you please? Tell us about what's going on with that kind of thing. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can find the right soundbite here. Hold on. This is Campus Reform out there with a camera, and they asked the kids about what they know about so-called assault rifles, which is a fake term in and of itself. But listen to what they said. Hold on, as soon as my computer catches up. Hold on.
For banning an assault weapon, do you know what an assault weapon is?
Yeah, it's assault weapon. It's like a What is an assault weapon?
I consider any. I'm not even against just assault weapons. I'm pretty much against most guns.
I'm against most guys. So they had no idea.
Yeah.
They were given the talk, just like you just said. They were giving the talking points. Just say that you ban assault weapons, and now what's an assault weapon? Oh, I have no earthly idea what it is.
Well, again, their heart's in the right spot, and there are things that can be done. But for the Democratic Party to stand behind this and push this, I mean, they're exactly what I think of them. Zero.
Well,
I just don't.
Charlie,
I got
look,
no respect for them. And I think I've told you this before. My parents were. I'm 74 years old. My parents were Democrats, but they wouldn't belong to the Democratic Party today.
No.
They wouldn't even recognize it.
There are very few pro-Americans who would belong to the Democrat Party today, as it's constituted today. It's Barack Obama's party.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's terrible. Anyway, just keep up the good work. I enjoy the program, and the American. I can tell you this: the American people are not going to fall for this.
Well, I pray you're right, man. But I watched Chris Wallace on Fox News roll out these polls.
Chris Wallace is getting worse and worse when it comes to this. Of course, his dad was a big Democrat. I assume he's a Democrat, but he used to sort of be fair and balanced. But he leans more left, and you know, like every time he has a discussion about this, you'll beat up on the Republican side. But when Dick Durbin comes on his program, he don't challenge Dick Durbin on nothing.
Nope.
Zero.
Nope. Thank you very much,
Good.
Charlie. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, have a great day. Talk to you later. Thanks.
You betcha, buddy. Thank you very much. Kids also were asked about the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. Here is the wisdom of a 17-year-old.
I think that the Second Amendment at this time is outdated. I think that the wording needs to be revisited.
I think it's something that was meant for a different time.
I think the Constitution in and of itself is something that's outdated.
I don't think it applies in today's society.
I don't think it leads to anything good or productive or peaceful.
Yeah. You can't blame them. It's what they're learning in the government-run schools, folks. There is no reverence for the United States Constitution and the rights and responsibilities it gives us as citizens in the government-run schools. This is why I am so many of you to get involved in government-run education. It needs your participation to clamp down the leftists who are teaching this garbage to our children. Oh, the Constitution's outdated. It's outmoded. The ideas are outmoded and outdated. Really? They were our founding fathers were smarter than any one of these administrators pushing that line of garbage. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show.
Hi, Chris. The kids, as the last caller said, their hearts are in the right place, but obviously their movement's being hijacked by the left. Because,
I agree.
I just think of exactly back in 2012 where you had the War on Women bumper sticker, and then it's Black Lives Matter bumper sticker, and then it's something else this time.
Don't forget Occupy Wall Street.
Yes,
exactly. It's all this stuff is repackaged and co-opted just to show that the left is permanently angry.
It's permanently angry, and this is a voter registration drive, as you say. This is the 18 to 21-year-olds. It's really interesting, 18 to 21. What about the 22-year-old college students? It's okay if they get that assault rifle. And by the way, my neighbor, I grew up, my friend growing up, they had rifles in their basement where we would go and hang out and play ping pong and all that. I never touched them because, you know what? They weren't mine.
Well, we were taught to respect firearms and these kids, many of them have never been exposed to firearms, so they're afraid of what they don't understand.
Well, they also haven't been exposed to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Again, they're afraid of what they don't understand.
Exactly, and if they were even asked to name 5 of the amendments to the Constitution, I don't even think they can do that.
No,
private property rights.
You can thank government-run education for that.
Well, it's a monopoly. That's what you get when you have a monopoly.
Amen to that, buddy. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. 281-558-5738. Fox News Channel asking the kids how they can keep their gun control movement going. This is part of the cheerleading that was going on universally among the basket of biased press. The sympathetic ear pushing for gun control and nothing but gun control. to solve this issue. And it was, well, to be quite frank, it was sickening. Listen to this.
Delaney, what makes you think that 2018 is going to be any different? And look, I understand the rally is exciting, but we're talking about more than 7 months from now. Are people going to go out, and are they actually going to vote in November? And how do you, in a sense, keep this movement going?
How do you keep this movement going? The question in and of itself lends credibility to the movement. That it is worthy of keeping going. The gun grabbing movement. And I don't believe it is. What a setup question. Now this is why these kids are being shielded by the basket of bias press. They won't come onto venues like this. And because we wouldn't rake them over the coals, but we would look, they're young adults. We would hit them with the consequence. What do you want to see happen? And then it'd be common sense this and common sense that. Well, have you thought about this ramification to what you're advocating? What would you say to the gun owner who has never thought of harming anyone? Why would you want to make their lives more complicated, cause more expense for them, cause more of a headache for them to exercise a right they constitutionally have? Why are you so eager to take away Americans' constitutional rights? Why are you, like, for example, there's a right to vote. Why would you do the equivalent of a poll tax to make it tougher for people to vote? That's exactly what you're advocating with all your so-called common sense gun legislation. You're making it tougher for the law-abiding to undertake their rights. Have you even thought about that in your left-wing fantasy land? Now, I wouldn't say that, but that would be the implication to Delaney and this other young man. Well, listen to how Delaney responded to Chris Wallace. Hey, how do you keep that movement going?
I believe that the strongest thing that we have going for us at this time is the fact that this is a youth movement. This is led by the youth, and it is led for the youth.
No, it isn't, sweetheart. I'm sorry. It's not of, by, and for the youth. It's of, by, and for George Soros. It's of, by, and for the left wing in this country. You didn't pay for any of those buses. You didn't pay for all of the organization. You didn't pay for any of this. Your tragedy is being co-opted by the American left wing. It is not your movement. You're being used as a pawn. I'm sorry to say. Now, we in the right wing, we don't do that to children, number one. Number two, here's where we have a big problem. Our political opposition is out there in the streets and shouting and making all kinds of noise. And where's the right wing? Yeah, some of us are going to work. But where were our politicians? The left wing was out all over the weekend. Our politicians couldn't wait to get out of Washington, D.C. after they crammed that cromnibus down our throats. That throw the American people under the bus bill. They were nowhere defending our Second Amendment rights. Back in a minute, the Chris Salcedo Show on the Voice of Texas.
With those storms, Wednesday's high 81. With the KSCV Weather Center forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. Let's have a conversation with Edwin Walker. He's a native Texan who earned his bachelor and law degrees at the University of Houston. Licensed attorney for 26 years. Partner with Walker and Taylor Program Attorneys for U.S. Law Shield and Texas Law Shield, a legal services company devoted to firearms law. The law practice concentrates on firearms and self-defense issues across the state of Texas and across the United States. Edwin is a co-author of Texas Gun Law, Armed and Educated. Edwin, welcome back to the Chris Salcedo Show.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
I only got into a couple of the sound bites so far from this weekend's march, but I have to tell you that I was thoroughly disgusted by the uniformed coverage by the basket of biased press. They only covered one side. They only covered one solution, which was, of course, further gun restrictions on our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you are somebody who believes in objectivity, this weekend certainly was not an example of that. It's like the press, the press has their perfect story that they can push their agenda because, these are children, and through a lot of this, I'm going to be using my air quotes. You can't see that on radio, but these are children who are victims, and so they're impervious to criticism. And I think you've seen that, the few people who have come out and basically called them out for their inaccurate information, the agenda that they're pushing, and this false narrative that they've created have been roundly attacked and thoroughly criticized through the media. And so the anti-gun folks, they have their perfect spokesman here, and they were able to stage this spectacle that has been given virtually round-the-clock coverage. And the thing about it is that there, if you look at what happened, of course, this all stems out of the Parkland shooting in Florida. So the Florida legislature stepped in and they said, okay, these are the things we're going to do. We're going to give more money for school security. We're going to raise the age to purchase a rifle to 21. We are going to create this red flag mental health warrant to allow people to have their guns taken away just on the mere accusation that they may be mentally unstable.
Yeah.
And we're going to make all firearms subject to a 3-day waiting period. So they did all this. Thankfully, they didn't do one of these horrendous assault weapons bans like California, New York, New Jersey, Maryland have done, which are really awful. But yet, even the students were like, they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. So clearly, their overall agenda, is to get an assault weapons ban, which there has been one filed in the U.S. Congress. It's H.R. 5087, and I urge your listeners to go read it because it is terrifying what this law would do. Basically, it would declare every single semi-automatic rifle and about half of the semi-automatic handguns prohibited assault weapons.
Good.
I mean, basically, your entire rifle collection that wasn't, an old-fashioned, single-shot, bolt-action rifle is going to be prohibited, and half your handguns, especially if you have tactical handguns that you can attach a suppressor to. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are into suppressed shooting. All of those, anything with a threaded barrel is now going to be considered an assault weapon, and it's terrifying. And this is their end agenda. And the thing about it is that the school shooting has become the boogie monster. But I read a Washington Post article, and I'm kind of surprised it showed up in the Washington Post.
Me too. We read it earlier. We read the stat. Basically 10 kids die of a school shooting every year since Columbine, and the chances are 1 in 614 million that a child inside of a government-run school is going to die from a gunshot wound. And
there are lotteries that have better odds.
I know. And Edwin Walker, our guest right now, folks, from Texas Law Shield. Let me pivot back to something you had brought up about the unassailability of the kids. They've been through horrific ordeals, true, and many of them don't know what they don't know. There is one kid though who has become the face of, and he's a left-wing darling. His name is David Hogg. It's gotten to the point where the basket of biased press has turned themselves into his press agent. They're suppressing his interviews when he starts cursing and showing his true colors. As a matter of fact, YouTube, there was an interview that he gave where he was just letting expletives fly like crazy, showing us what kind of caliber of young man he truly is. And YouTube banned that video, saying that David Hogg was bullying himself. And that's the reason why they suppressed this terrible interview that he gave that showed what kind of human being he really is. I think this kid knows precisely what he's doing. He's going to be either the next correspondent for CNN or the next Democrat politician coming out of Florida. Either way, the insidious nature of the way the press is behaving, it's unfair, and all the kids who don't believe that gun control is the way, their voices are being suppressed, and the kids who do believe in gun grabbing, they're being protected by the press.
Yeah, that's the part. I mean, that's the thing is that is really shocking in all this, is that the press is supposed to be, provide the disinfectant of sunlight, and that they are supposed to, they're not supposed to protect people. They are supposed to show, honestly, all the facts, and then let the people choose for themselves. And this is a situation where the press has virtually 100% gone in favor of the agenda pushed by the folks who organized, in which it wasn't the kids that organized it. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think you have to be a conspiracy theorist to believe that all the gun control folks have marshaled behind this, and that this was not some spontaneous grassroots efforts started by some 17 and 16-year-olds in Florida.
Oh no, they were all out there. Not just gun grabbers. Everybody that had anything to do with the left wing, the disgruntled left wing, the anti-Trumpers, any left wing cause that could be co-opted showed up out there, because there were going to be concerts, and all the left wing from Hollywood came out, and music, and Miley Cyrus and others were playing out there. So this was one big left wing kumbaya fest. And that the marches, that's one thing. That's one thing. And the fact that our side caves and ran away, all of our legislators in Capitol Hill, they couldn't wait after shoving that omnibus down our throats to get out of town so they wouldn't be there to stand up for our Second Amendment rights. That's the courage of the mighty GOP. But that aside, the way the press has behaved is shameful.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, of course, the NRA is the I guess the face of the face of the anti-gun control folks. Even though there are a lot of pro-gun organization, U.S. and Texas Law Shield, we're out front in supporting all pro-gun issues and people's right to use arms self-defense. Gun owners in America, there's so many pro-gun controls, but the NRA obviously is the biggest, so they're the easiest to attack. And it's just amazing how the media allows and embraces just this unilateral attack on basically anybody who believes in gun rights as being a party to these horrendous acts.
And gun safety.
So far as I know, there's never been an NRA member who's conducted a mass shooting.
I know that number one. Number two, and the NRA is committed to the safe exercise of the Second Amendment. None of that gets any credit. And by the way, you mentioned something earlier about what Florida did. They passed a law that basically said that kids age 21 couldn't buy a rifle. Oh, that worked out really well in Maryland, as they have a similar law for not just rifles, for handguns as well. And a 17-year-old got his hand on a Glock and went in and killed a girl inside of a school. And the only thing that stopped him, the only thing that stopped this kid from slaughtering other people, was a good guy with a gun.
Right, and the left is they're so ready to even distinguish that. Well, he's a trained police officer. Well, yeah, that doesn't disqualify him from being a good guy with a gun.
I know.
Unfortunately, we can't all have trained police officers with us, but one thing we can have are our own means of protection, and that is our own firearm.
Well, somehow the Founding Fathers didn't say, hey, you can defend yourself so long as you get training. But otherwise, you're supposed to be like lambs to the slaughter, to the criminal element, and to other folks. Edwin Walker, everybody, he is our good buddy over at Texas Law Shield and U.S. Law Shield. Sir, appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, Chris. Like I said, it's always a pleasure being on your show.
Thank you, sir. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Your calls next on The Voice of Texas. That is going to do it for the Chris Salcedo Show here on the Vida Television Network for this evening. Folks, I think this is one of the very few shows on television where you get to actually live interact with what we're doing. So I highly encourage you guys to call live to AM 700 KSEV, The Voice of Texas, 281-558-5738 during the hours of operation of the Chris Salcedo Show when we're doing this live. We are available 24/7 on Twitter at Chris Salcedo TX, at ChrisSalcedoTX, as in Texas, or the Chris Salcedo Show on Facebook or www.chrissalcedo.com. Have yourselves a wonderful evening. We'll see you back here next time for the Chris Salcedo Show Worldwide on the Vida Television Network.